Resident Evil 4. There you go. I know you've been waiting for that. You've been a little bit hungry for that, haven't you? Resident Evil 4 VR mode has come out. And it is a bit of a hoot and a little bit less of a holler. There's some serious issues, but it is a damn good game. I believe the statistic was 0.7 something % of people played the VR version. I don't really completely buy into the idea that the game was made for third person and so it can't be a good VR game. I don't buy that. I'm sure that budget was very limited and there was an understanding that there's going to be a very small amount of people playing this mode. So right now, I'm sort of just happy it damn exists. Because this shit probably, more than likely, wouldn't have existed in the first place if Sony wasn't reaching under and jiggling their money bags. It's just enough that this remake in VR is a good old time, okay? It's not a bad time. It's not per se a bad port, but it has a fucking lot of issues. I'm gonna be primarily talking about the VR aspect instead of the game itself. I'm here talking about the port side, less of the game side. So that the first thing I want to just say is that game is fucking awesome. What a beautiful, adventurous, heart-pounding video gaming experience. I love it. It's fantastic. The enemies, the gameplay, the looks, the feel. Oh, it's so good. The story is reinvigorated and built upon and made better. And it's a little bit less perverted. And it's just a fantastic time. And so, it's a good game in itself. Now, let's talk about the VR aspects. What else do I like about the VR aspects? Oh my God, the graphics are so beautiful, dude. It's fantastic. Man, after this, I tried to play some Asgard's Wrath 2. My God, this game makes it look like a kid drew that game with crayons. It is so beautiful. The lighting is just so good. The level design, everything is just, it looks so good in VR. So through the PSVR 2, we get those amazing colors, those amazing darks, and those amazing brights. This is like the brightest headset I've ever damn worn. The darks are just pitch black, and the brights are so bright. And so sometimes you gotta put your hand over the light like you usually would in real life. That's pretty amazing. Now that's talking about the PSVR 2 screen. The optics are kind of ass, a really bad sweet spot, and some goddamn mirror. But there's some trade-offs between other headsets, like when I put back on the Meta Quest 3 after I use this headset. My fucking God, it's so gray. It is so fucking gray compared to this thing. This thing has amazing dark levels. Alright, let's move on. The holsters are awesome. You get holsters for your sidearms and for your big weapons like a shotgun or a machine gun on both of your back sides, and you got 2 chest slots for a knife and some grenades. And so physical inventory is really nice. And it's nice that you can actually put your fucking guns away this time. Resident Evil 8, they made, when you're done with a gun, you just throw it. You can't put it back on your side. I don't know why no one fucking mentioned this shit, man. You gotta throw the gun. You just drop the gun. It's so stupid and immersion breaking. But in this game, you can put the gun away. That's pretty cool, huh? So yes, it is very nice to have a physical holster system where you can grab your gun instead of going through an inventory to pull out what you need. The inventory is also quite nice. You press a button and you get this physical 3D inventory where you can see all your objects. You can interact with it with your grip buttons and put things together like in the inventory. It's not the best inventory ever. It's not like super physical where you grab 2 things and you shove it together to make something, but it's good. I enjoy the inventory. It's pretty cool. There's also lots of accessibility options for you people out there with motion sickness, such as vignetting, snap turning, and there's some for us thicker boys. They got some adjustments to make the holsters go up and out. Not very much out. Japanese engineering.
That's 1 billion Asian people.
They don't go very far out for us thick boys, but it's just enough for me, thankfully. So accessibility is always very welcome for those people who need it. And the gun handling is pretty good, although maybe a little bit too realistic sometimes, but that is just because I'm an idiot. In the middle of the game, I'll reload it wrong, because I'm like trying to do like a Pavlov reload or something. Because like, for example, one of the machine guns, you have to pull, it's not like you pull the magazine out. You first cock it, then you press a button to drop the magazine, you put a new magazine in, and then you slap it back forward. It's really cool, and it's probably how it's supposed to be done, and so that's why it's kind of frustrating to me sometimes with some weapons, because it's more realistic. And I can't really fucking hate on that, because that's realism. It's realism, okay? So I'm not gonna hate on it. I just suck. But yeah, the reloading is really cool. You can see some pretty crazy details. Like with the Red 9, you put the ammo in, you can shake off the thing, or you can pull it out yourself. The revolver, you can snap it shut with your hand, or you can whip it up with your hand. Machine gun, like I said, you can slap down the bolt. There's detail in some places, but it's missing a lot. I'll talk about that in just a little bit here. The combat can be freaking awesome sometimes. It can be a little bit less awesome some other times. I'll explain that a little bit later. But like using the knife to parry and to slash and attack, and using your gun to mow down fools. It's not a lot of interaction for the combat in VR, but what we do get is pretty cool. The beautiful, so beautiful graphics come with a fucking huge side effect. It's our good old friend reprojection. I think every game I've reviewed on this damn channel has had reprojection so far. The reprojection on the PSVR 2, it is pretty bad. It is not the best. It works. It's functional, and you can get used to it. That doesn't mean it's great, though. There's so much jitteriness. So when you're just walking somewhere, if you're looking at close objects that you're passing by, it's a jittery mess. It's like ghosting. It's awful. And if you look at your hand and you turn and you keep looking at your hand, it's jittery. That is probably the biggest downside of the entire game, is that the entire game is reprojected. However, that does come with the trade-off. You get the beautiful ass graphics, but you get some bad frame rate. But I think the graphics are just so good. It's very excusable, and you do get used to it, like I said. On the flip side of the combat, of it being good in some parts, mostly I'd say the combat is not very satisfying. It's not unfun, it's just immersion breaking. So every time you do melee, any kind of melee, other than you slashing or parrying, it switches to a third-person perspective of you watching Leon do it. Now here comes the argument, saying that it's supposed to be a third-person game. It's not gonna transition perfectly. I must start giving you some ideas. Like, for example, maybe you push a trigger on one of the controllers, you bring both your hands down at the same time, and it puts up a digital leg, and you kick them. That's an idea. Also, if you're gonna assassinate someone, you flip the knife around. When the prompt shows up, you can grab them by the shoulder and quickly stab them and pull it out. That's an idea. There's ways for you to go about, and I don't think either of those options are very difficult to implement or unrealistic. There's so many things that could have been added for the combat. Let's do some more jankiness talk. Hand grenades, when you're trying to reload, if you accidentally grab a hand grenade and you drop it on the floor, it's gonna explode. The scopes are god-awful. You put them up to your face and it snaps to your eyeball. It's so weird. And then yeah, you want to take it away, you pull your arms away and it snaps off like there's some glue on it. It's crap. Assets are not correctly optimized. For example, like when you pick up some pestistas, or however you say it, off the floor, there's floating coins. Also, when you are looting, there's no like subtle animations. Like if you're picking up an item, it doesn't fly up to your hand really quick, or when you let go, it doesn't like do a cool disappearing animation. It just teleports and then vanishes. I mean, it's the lack of polishing there. And then the flashlight. It's cool when you use the flashlight, but most people won't know that you can use the flashlight, like grabbing it, by grabbing your face and taking the flashlight off your head, because it doesn't ever tell you that. I had to find that through Reddit. And like someone said, it's like Leon's a fucking unicorn. I don't know why they wouldn't just tell you that you could do that. You can use your knife to break boxes, but you can't use your fist to break boxes. And you also just press a button to break the box, then press another button to pick up the thing. I usually end up doing that anyways, although sometimes I use my knife to break the box, so that's fun. But it's putting my hand directly over the stream of light and grabbing the item just wasn't very satisfying, so I just ended up pressing the button. They should have made looting a little bit more fun. I mean, there was no like satisfaction when you pick something up or anything. It's just teleporting. Also, we have to talk about the interaction, because interaction is a very bare minimum. You press a button to open doors, you press a button to go up ladders, you press a button to interact with most items. There's button pressing all the time. And back to people saying it's a third-person game. Not everything's gonna work when it's a third-person game. Motherfucker, it's a fucking ladder, bro. Let me grab the ladder. That's a turny thingy. Let me grab and turn the turny thingy. That's a door. I can push a door open. I don't need to watch Leon do it. My hands feel useless. And half the time it will allow you to like pull a lever or do a little thing, but it's random. I don't know why it's so random, because sometimes I walk up to a thing, I'm like, oh, I gotta press a button. I press the button, it doesn't work. I'm like, what? Oh, now it wants me to grab it. I don't know what the heck. I don't know what they did to decide what I have to press a button for and what I can physically do. There are also some in-game things that are actually interactable. They're very far between, but sometimes you'll find like a little thing you can push with your hand, or some cloth you can push. It's weird. I think it's because these items are interactable in the game because the character walks through them, and so there's collisions with your hands, I suppose, with these things, and so you can move them around. Weird. Now that's a whole lot of bitching and complaining, but I want to remind you, I know that this is a very limited version. We are very goddamn lucky we got this game in VR. And so with that said, despite all these damn negatives, the game is just enough to be fun. I enjoyed the combat, the visuals were more than enjoyable, such a beautiful damn game. Just overall, it wasn't a very, very solid VR port, but it was just a little bit more than enough to make it a really good time. It was really good. And so overall, I have to give this port a 7 out of 10. Despite all the negatives, this game is so damn fun, dude. I can't give it anything lower than that. It's so damn good. So if you're going to play Resident Evil 4 Remake and you haven't played it yet and you got a VR, please, for God's sake, play it with VR. It is so fun. And hey, that's all I gotta say. Bye-bye, everybody. And don't die. Don't die.